The silent sentinel. In the expansive darkness of space, where countless civilizations thrived among the stars, Earth had always been viewed as something of a curiosity. Humans were considered an evolutionary oddity, a species that had somehow managed to achieve spaceflight despite their biological inefficiencies, emotional instabilities, and fractious geopolitics. The Galactic Consortium, a coalition of the 12 most advanced civilizations in the known universe, regarded humanity with a mixture of amusement and mild contempt. Their fascinating specimens, Archminister Vexer of the Thalian Empire would often remark during consortium meetings, so primitive in their thinking, yet so convinced of their importance, his chitinous mandibles would click together in what passed for laughter among his kind. For over 80 years since Earth had made first contact, humans had been denied full membership in the consortium. Their technology was deemed insufficient, their political systems too unstable, and their military capabilities laughably obsolete. Earth was permitted to establish trade outposts in neighboring systems and maintain a small diplomatic presence, but nothing more. Humanity accepted these terms with apparent humility. Earth's ambassadors would nod politely at the condescension, request technological sharing that was invariably denied, and return home with reports of continued galactic indifference. The consortium members saw this as evidence of human acceptance of their inferior status. They couldn't have been more wrong. Commander Liana Chen stood at the observation deck of Arcturus Station, Earth's most remote military installation, hidden deep within an asteroid field at the edge of human territory. Below her, through reinforced transparasteel windows, the cavernous hangar housed row upon row of sleek warships, vessels unlike anything the consortium had ever seen. "Status report on Project Thunderbolt," she asked without turning. Admiral Marcus Harris, a weathered veteran with steel-gray hair and eyes that had seen too much, handed her a data tablet. Final testing phase complete. The quantum displacement drive exceeds all performance parameters. Energy signature masking is at 99.8% efficiency. And Goliath. The first 5 are deployment ready. The next 20 will be operational within the month. Chen nodded, her expression unchanging as she looked at the massive vessels being constructed in the depths of the hangar. The Goliath-class dreadnoughts were humanity's masterpiece, warships large enough to rival the consortium's largest vessels, yet capable of maneuverability that would be considered impossible by conventional understanding of physics. 78 years, she said quietly. 78 years of being dismissed, underestimated, and patronized, all while we prepared. Harris followed her gaze to the fleet below. They never thought to question why we accepted their restrictions so easily, why we never protested when they denied us access to their technology. Chen's lips curved into a humorless smile. Because we didn't need it. We had something better, necessity and ingenuity. The truth that the consortium had never grasped was simple. Humans had been planning for war from the day they realized their place in the galactic hierarchy. Not because they were inherently aggressive, but because history had taught them a painful lesson about advanced civilizations encountering less developed ones. They would not become another conquered indigenous people, subjugated by those with superior technology. So while presenting a face of peaceful technological development to the galaxy, Earth had been preparing for the inevitable conflict that would determine its future. The first signs came from a small research outpost in the Ta-CD system. Dr. Eliza Wright, leading a team studying gravitational anomalies, detected an unusual energy signature moving through the system. Initial analysis suggested it was simply a passing comet with unique mineral composition. The truth was discovered too late. The research station's final transmission was brief. "They're here. Not what we thought. Tell Earth." Then silence. Within hours, similar reports came in from 3 other outposts in neighboring systems. Silent approaches, followed by complete destruction. No warnings, no demands, no survivors. In the emergency session of Earth's Unified Defense Council, the mood was somber but not panicked. "It's the consortium," said General Zhao, head of Earth's defense forces. Intelligence suggests it's primarily the Thalians and Krell, with support from the Morkai. President Helena Vasquez, her dark eyes hard with resolve, asked the question they all knew the answer to: are we ready? Admiral Harris, joining via secure channel from Arcturus Station, nodded once. Operation Silent Sentinel can commence immediately. President Vasquez looked around the room at the faces of humanity's leaders. They had inherited this plan from their predecessors, refined it over generations, always hoping it would never be needed. But they had also prepared for this day with unflinching determination. "Send the message," she said. In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Consortium on the neutral world of Nexus Prime, the emergency session was already underway when the human ambassador, Thomas Chen, was finally permitted to enter. The massive holographic displays showed the destruction of Earth's outposts from multiple angles. "These are acts of unprovoked aggression," thundered Ambassador Chen, interrupting Archminister Vexer's speech. "The consortium has violated all treaties with Earth." Vexer's compound eyes flickered with what might have been amusement. "Ambassador, please. These regrettable incidents were clearly the work of rogue elements. Perhaps pirates or mercenaries. The consortium would never." "Save your lies," Chen cut in, his voice suddenly cold and level. "We have identified Thalian energy signatures on every attack. We have intercepted communications between your fleet commanders and the Krell strategists." The chamber erupted in outraged protests and denials. Chen waited for the noise to subside before continuing. "Earth has maintained peace for nearly a century despite your constant belittlement and obstruction. We accepted your restrictions while building our own path. We studied your histories, your tactics, your technologies, not to copy them, but to counter them." He paused, looking each council member in the eyes. "You chose war. Now you will see how humans win it." With that, he activated a small device in his hand. The chamber's vast holographic system flickered, then displayed a new image: the Thalian homeworld. As the council watched in stunned silence, dozens of ships appeared in orbit around the planet, ships unlike any design they had seen before. "Impossible," whispered Vexer, his mandibles trembling. "Your vessels could not have reached our homeworld without detection." Ambassador Chen smiled thinly. "Yet there they are, similarly positioned around the Krell and Morkai homeworlds as well. You never bothered to look beyond what you expected to see." The chamber fell into shocked silence as the implications sank in. Humanity had somehow developed technology that surpassed their own understanding. Technology that allowed them to bypass all defense systems and position lethal force directly above their most important worlds. "This is merely a demonstration," Chen continued. "A single word from me, and those ships withdraw without firing a shot. A different word, and your civilizations end today." Commander Liana Chen watched from the bridge of the HSS Defiance as her fleet maintained position above the Thalian homeworld of Kithris Prime. The planet's defense platforms had activated, but their targeting systems couldn't lock onto the human vessels. Quantum displacement fields ensured that the ships existed in a state of probabilistic flux, physically present but constantly shifting between potential positions faster than any conventional tracking system could follow. "They're scrambling their fleet," reported Lieutenant Park from the tactical station. "Approximately 200 vessels moving to intercept." Chen nodded calmly. "Activate the Athena protocol." Throughout the fleet, specialized emitters came online, broadcasting precisely modulated energy pulses that interfered with the Thalian neural networks. Unlike humans with individual brains, Thalians shared a semi-collective consciousness through technological implants, a feature Earth had studied extensively. On the view screen, Chen watched as the approaching Thalian ships began to drift, their coordinated formations dissolving into chaos as the crews struggled to maintain neural cohesion. "Thalian Central Command is hailing us," Park announced. On screen, Chen ordered. The image of Arch-General Kithrix appeared, his chitinous faceplates shifting in what humans had learned to recognize as extreme agitation. How is this possible? He demanded without preamble. Your species was assessed as technologically inferior. Your vessels were primitively shielded. Your weapons were ineffective against our defenses. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Those were the ships we allowed you to see, Arch-General. Did it never occur to you to question why a species that achieved spaceflight in less than 3 centuries after discovering electricity might continue to innovate at that pace? The Thalian commander's antennae quivered. The consortium monitored all your research facilities, the ones we wanted you to monitor, Chen corrected. While you were busy dismissing us as a minor species, we studied everything about you. We learned your weaknesses. We developed technologies specifically designed to counter your advantages. She leaned forward slightly. Your neural networks allow for impressive coordination, but they create a singular vulnerability. Your crystalline hull materials deflect energy weapons effectively, but resonate catastrophically at specific harmonic frequencies. Your predictive defense grids are sophisticated but rely on statistical models that can be manipulated. The Arch-General's mandibles clicked rapidly in what Chen recognized as alarm. You have 2 choices, she continued. Immediate stand-down of all forces and withdrawal from Earth space, followed by formal recognition of Earth's sovereign territories, or we can demonstrate exactly what these ships are capable of. Admiral Harris stood beside President Vasquez as they watched the live feed from the Thalian system. The consortium representatives had been escorted from Earth's diplomatic compound and were currently under guard aboard their own vessel. They never saw this coming, Vasquez said quietly. They were so convinced of their superiority that they never considered we might develop along different technological paths. Harris nodded. The Athena protocol is particularly effective. By targeting their neural networks, we've essentially given their entire species a migraine. Non-lethal, but deeply uncomfortable. And the other systems. Commander Rice reports similar success in the Krull system. The Morkai surrendered as soon as our fleet arrived. Apparently, they were the reluctant partners in this alliance. Vasquez watched as the displays showed Thalian vessels powering down weapons systems and moving away from Earth's fleet. Do you think they'll honor the terms? She asked. Harris considered this. They have no choice. We've demonstrated capabilities they didn't know were possible. Their entire strategic doctrine has been invalidated in a single day, and the rest of the consortium. Ambassador Chen reports that the neutral members are already distancing themselves from the aggressors. Several have sent unofficial communications expressing interest in direct technological exchange with Earth. Vasquez nodded slowly. After all these years of preparation, the war might end before it truly begins. That was always the hope, Harris reminded her. Silent Sentinel wasn't designed to win a prolonged conflict. It was designed to make such a conflict unthinkable. On the screen, Commander Chen was receiving the formal surrender of the Thalian forces. The first phase of humanity's response was complete. Now came the more challenging part, reshaping the galactic order into one where Earth would never again be dismissed or threatened. As if reading his thoughts, President Vasquez spoke. Prepare Phase 2. It's time to show the galaxy not just how humans fight wars, but how we build peace. The storm unleashed. 3 standard days after Earth's fleets revealed themselves above the homeworlds of the consortium aggressors, the galaxy was still reeling. Diplomatic channels buzzed with frantic communications as species that had long dismissed humanity scrambled to reassess their understanding of the supposedly primitive Earthlings. On the bridge of the HSS Defiance, Commander Liana Chen reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The Thalians had withdrawn their forces from human territories as demanded, but long-range sensors detected unusual movement patterns deep within their space. They're regrouping, she concluded, addressing her senior officers. The initial shock is wearing off, and they're adapting their strategy. Captain James Rodriguez, her tactical officer, nodded in agreement. The Thalians are marshaling their forces at Rigel 9. The Krell have moved their reserve fleet from their 3rd colony to a position that could threaten our supply lines if we maintain our current deployment. Chen studied the holographic display, showing the positions of known enemy forces. They still think in conventional terms. They expect us to follow traditional military doctrine. Establish control zones, secure supply routes, maintain defensive positions around key assets. She smiled slightly. Let's show them how humans really fight. In the Emergency War Council of the Thalian Empire, Supreme Strategist Kithax addressed the gathered military commanders. His normally iridescent carapace had dulled with stress over the past days, but his voice remained steady. The humans have revealed impressive technological capabilities, but they have overextended themselves, he declared, gesturing to the tactical display. Their fleet is divided between our 3 homeworlds. Their supply lines are vulnerable. Analysis suggests they cannot maintain this deployment for more than 20 standard cycles without resupply. Arch-General Kithrix clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. Their technology exceeds our projections, but their strategy is predictable. They seek to force concessions through the threat of planetary bombardment, a primitive approach, but temporarily effective given their unexpected capabilities. What do we know of their command structure? Asked Fleet Commander Vizal. Hierarchical, like most evolving species, Kithax replied. Their vessels answer to regional commands, which report to a central authority on their homeworld. Standard inefficient chain of command. The tactical display updated, showing the positions of the consortium's combined fleets. Our strategy is clear, continued Kithax. We will target their communication relays here, here, and here. 3 points illuminated on the display. Without coordination between their fleet elements, we can isolate and eliminate them one by one. Arch-General Kithrix extended a foreclaw in approval. The humans have surprised us once. They will not do so again. At Arcturus Station, Admiral Harris monitored the deployment of Earth's Phase 2 forces. Around him, the command center hummed with quiet efficiency as officers coordinated the most complex military operation in human history. The Thalians are moving exactly as Commander Chen predicted, noted his aide, Lieutenant Commander Sato. They're positioning to strike at what they believe are our communication nodes. Harris nodded. And the Krell. Their main battle fleet is moving to engage our forces at Proxima. They still don't understand what they're dealing with. The Admiral activated the secure channel to Earth Command. President Vasquez's face appeared on the screen. Madam President, the enemy forces are committing to their counteroffensive. Request authorization to execute Operation Tempest. Vasquez's expression was solemn but determined. Authorization granted, Admiral. May God have mercy on them, because history teaches us that humanity, when pushed to war, rarely does. Harris turned to the command center. Initiate Operation Tempest. All units, execute independent protocols. Throughout human space, and far beyond into territories, the consortium believes secure. Hundreds of human vessels simultaneously altered their operational status. The carefully maintained formation above the 3 homeworlds dissolved as ships seemingly vanished from sensors. Communication buoys went dark. For several minutes to any observer, it appeared as if the human fleet had suffered some catastrophic failure. The Thalian and Krell commanders initially celebrated what they believed was the collapse of human coordination, exactly as Earth had anticipated. Then the storm broke. Commander Elena Shaw had waited patiently aboard the HS Nemesis, hidden in the shadow of a moon orbiting the Thalian Military Command Center at Rigel 9. Operation Tempest had been her brainchild, a battle doctrine utterly foreign to the rigid hierarchical thinking of the consortium species. All systems green, reported her XO, Commander Daniel Okafor. Quantum displacement drive operating at optimal capacity. Weapons systems primed. Shaw nodded, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display, showing the massive Thalian fleet assembled nearby. Commence Phase 1. Throughout the Thalian formation, small objects that had been dormant for days suddenly activated. Quantum mines, devices the size of a human fist that had been covertly deployed during the initial confrontation, began emitting targeted electromagnetic pulses specifically calibrated to disrupt Thalian neural networks. On her screen, Shaw watched as confusion spread through the enemy fleet. Ships began drifting out of formation as crew members lost neural cohesion. Phase 2, she ordered calmly. The HSS Nemesis and its accompanying strike force decloaked simultaneously at multiple points within the Thalian formation. Unlike the defensive posture maintained during the initial confrontation, these ships immediately went on the offensive. Target their command ships, Shaw instructed. Precision strikes only. We're not here for extermination. The human vessels moved with impossible agility, their quantum displacement drives allowing them to execute maneuvers that defied conventional physics. They would appear at one location, fire, and seemingly teleport to another before the enemy could respond. On the primary Thalian command ship, Supreme Strategist Kithax watched in horror as his carefully organized fleet disintegrated into chaos. Human vessels seemed to materialize inside their defensive perimeter, strike with surgical precision, and vanish before countermeasures could be deployed. Impossible, he chittered. Their tactics violate all established doctrine. There is no central command structure. Each vessel appears to be operating independently yet somehow maintaining perfect coordination. Arch-General Kithrix stared at the display in disbelief. They're inside our formation. They're targeting command ships and weapon systems with precision. But how? How are they coordinating without communication signals? Fleet Commander Vizal's antennae twitched violently. It's as if they planned this entire sequence before it began. Each ship knows its role without needing to be directed. Kithax's compound eyes widened as understanding dawned. Autonomous operation protocols. They're not receiving orders. They already have them. Each commander knows the overall strategy and is empowered to execute it independently. For a species that relied on constant neural connection and hierarchical command, the concept was nearly incomprehensible. The idea that subordinate commanders would be trusted to make critical decisions without direct oversight from their superiors violated everything the Thalians believed about effective military organization. Our entire analysis of human warfare was wrong. Kithrix realized too late. We projected our own methods onto them instead of seeing them as they are. Similar scenes played out across consortium space as human strike forces executed precisely coordinated attacks against military targets. The Krell Reserve Fleet found itself under attack from vessels that seemed to appear from nowhere. Critical supply depots, shipyards, and defense platforms were disabled with surgical precision. In the Morkai system, a different approach was taken. The reluctant partners in the Anti-Earth Alliance found human diplomatic vessels in orbit around their homeworld, transmitting a simple message: you have an opportunity to choose differently. Within hours, the Morkai Council had denounced their former allies and declared neutrality in the conflict. On Earth, President Vasquez addressed the United Nations General Assembly. For nearly a century, humanity has been dismissed as a minor player in galactic affairs, she began. We were denied access to shared technology, restricted in our expansion, and treated as inferiors. When certain members of the consortium decided we had become inconvenient, they sought to eliminate us without declaration or warning. The chamber was silent as she continued. They believed us weak because we did not build our civilization as they built theirs. They saw our diversity as division, our independence as inefficiency, our creativity as chaos. They never understood that these very qualities are the source of our strength. She paused, her expression solemn. Today, those who attacked us are learning a painful lesson about humanity. We do not seek war, but when forced into it, we will not fight according to our enemy's expectations. We will not follow conventional doctrine. We will not be predictable. Commander Shaw stood on the bridge of the Nemesis as the last of the Thalian command ships signaled its surrender. Around them, the once mighty fleet drifted in disarray, their nested command structure shattered by the loss of their leadership vessels. All primary objectives achieved, Commander reported Okafor. Minimal casualties on both sides. The Thalian military command structure has effectively collapsed. Shaw nodded, satisfaction evident in her expression. And the Krell. Similar reports from Commander Martinez. Their main fleet has surrendered after losing their flagship and 3 command carriers. Their remaining forces are retreating to defensive positions around their homeworld. Shaw activated her communication link to Admiral Harris. Admiral, Phase 2 objectives accomplished. Request permission to proceed to Phase 3. Harris's voice came through clearly. Negative, Commander. Stand by for new orders. The diplomatic channel has been activated. Shaw raised an eyebrow in surprise. Sir, it seems our demonstration was convincing. The Consortium Council has called for an immediate cessation of hostilities and requested emergency diplomatic talks. President Vasquez has agreed on the condition that Earth representatives be granted full council status. A small smile crossed Shaw's face. So it worked. Your Operation Tempest performed exactly as designed, Harris confirmed. We demonstrated our capabilities without the need for mass casualties. The message has been received. 1 month later, Ambassador Thomas Chen stood in the chamber of the Galactic Consortium, now redesignated as the Galactic Union. The circular table had been modified to include a 13th seat, with Earth's emblem prominently displayed. Archminister Vexer, whose position had survived the political upheaval following the brief conflict, addressed the assembly with notably less arrogance than in previous years. This council formally recognizes the sovereign status of Earth and its colonies as a full member of the Galactic Union, he declared, his mandibles carefully controlled. All previous restrictions on human expansion and technology development are hereby rescinded. Chen inclined his head in acknowledgement. Earth accepts membership in the spirit of cooperation and mutual advancement. We bring to this table not only our unique technological developments, but also our perspective. His gaze moved around the assembled representatives. Humanity's greatest strength has never been our weapons or our ships. It has been our adaptability, our creativity in the face of challenges, and our ability to learn from diverse viewpoints. He paused, allowing his words to sink in. For too long, the species of this galaxy have developed along parallel but separate paths, guarding their advancements and viewing differences as weaknesses rather than opportunities. Earth proposes a new approach, one where technological and cultural exchange is not merely permitted but encouraged. The chamber was silent as the implications of this proposal resonated among the representatives. It was a radical departure from the protectionist policies that had defined interstellar relations for millennia. The recent conflict has demonstrated that no single approach to technology or strategy is superior in all circumstances. Chen continued. Imagine what might be achieved if we combined our knowledge rather than hoarding it, if the analytical brilliance of the Krell worked alongside human intuition, if Thalian biomechanical expertise was paired with Morkai quantum theory. Slowly, hesitantly, heads began to nod around the table. This is what Earth brings to the Galactic Union, not just our ships or our strategies, but a vision of what we might accomplish together. Commander Liana Chen stood with Admiral Harris on the observation deck of Arcturus Station, watching as the newly commissioned diplomatic vessels prepared to depart for the various homeworlds of the Union members. "Do you think it will last?" she asked, her eyes on the sleek ships below. Harris considered the question. The peace, or Earth's new position? Both. The Consortium, the Union now, has existed for thousands of years because its member species recognized the benefit of cooperation, even if they limited that cooperation, Harris replied. They're pragmatic enough to accept the new reality. Chen nodded slowly. And our ships will remain deployed, just in case pragmatism needs a reminder. For now, Harris agreed. But in time, perhaps we'll find a better way to ensure security than through the threat of force. Below them, the first of the diplomatic vessels engaged its engines, the blue-white glow illuminating the hangar as it prepared to carry Earth's representatives to stars that had once dismissed them. "You know what I find most remarkable," Chen said after a moment. "For all our preparation for war, it was ultimately our approach to peace that proved most revolutionary to them." Harris smiled slightly. "That's humanity's greatest paradox. We prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. We develop weapons while dreaming of their obsolescence. Together they watched as the ships departed one by one, carrying not just diplomats but scientists, artists, and educators. Earth's true first wave of galactic integration. They wanted war, Chen mused, echoing the words that had become famous across human space. And we showed them how it's won. Not through destruction, Harris added, but through the creation of something better than what came before. As the last ship departed, the vast space beyond Arcturus Station seemed somehow less empty, less cold. The galaxy that had once regarded humanity with dismissive contempt now watched with cautious respect, and perhaps just beginning to bloom, a sense of possibility that transcended the old rivalries and fears. The storm had passed. Now came the true test of humanity's place among the stars, not how well they could fight, but how well they could build.